On my mom's side, my grandmother, Avi, is from Cuba and was forced out when Castro came into power. She then moved to the United States. My grandfather, Papa, is from Argentina and came to the States when he was in his 20s. On my father's side, my grandfather, Yeye, who is from Chile with Russian and Polish descent, met and married my grandmother, Meme. When my dad, his brother, and sister were born, they moved to America for a better opportunity. These are my cousins, Brandon, Ryan, Amanda, Karina, Michael, Alex, my brother Andy, my sister Gabby. Okay, I think you get the point. I have a big family, so how do I identify myself? Am I Cuban, Argentinian, American? How do families with so many different cultures define themselves? These questions are the ones that are affected by acculturation and ethnic identity. As communication majors, we are all familiar with the communication model. There is a two-way channel in which a sender and a receiver encode and decode a message. However, the way we communicate is different across cultures. Our culture begins with our family, and we learn to communicate through them first. Then we become immersed with other people and other environments. Young Kim's integrative theory helps us understand how to communicate in an intercultural context. It's a process that adapts over time, otherwise known as cultural adaptation. This includes factors such as communication, environment, and predisposition. From a young age, it is impossible to not pick up on the habits we see in our parents. The way parents communicate with each other, for example, has an extremely large impact on the way children will grow up to communicate. Because children are exposed to their ideals, they can't help but to hold on to them and make them their own. When adults enter the United States, they have a great hope and high aspirations for a better life for themselves. However, the adolescents who accompany them or are later born in the United States face the challenge of establishing a discrete self-identity and an ethnic identity that is compatible with the values and beliefs of both their natal culture and the American mainstream. How parents relate to their natal culture as well as to the host culture can be expected to affect the adolescent's ethnic identity achievement and their psychological functioning. For example, I've grown up in a collectivistic culture where my family is the number one priority. When my brother, sister, and I went out of state to study, my father was devastated because he could never imagine a family that was so separated from each other. He has had to learn to adapt to the American culture, allowing us to create our own path despite the traditions we have been raised on. Children of all cultural communities experience enculturation, the normative socialization experiences that allow them to function as competent individuals in their societies. However, ethnic minority children are also enculturated by their wider communities, the dominant cultural group, and the nature of the interaction between their ethnic group and the dominant culture. In 1993, Berry proposed that there are 4 ways ethnic minorities can associate with their host culture. First, they can separate by identifying solely with their group and rejecting the host culture. They can marginalize by rejecting both their own culture and the host culture to create their own. They can assimilate by identifying solely with the dominant culture and sever ties with their own culture. Or they can integrate by becoming bicultural by maintaining aspects of their own group and selectively acquiring some of the host culture. The majority of TCU students are white Americans, and I've had to learn to adapt to this environment to function as a competent individual. I chose to integrate the TCU culture to be able to communicate with people and understand how they think. I am now the only person in my family who owns a pair of boots and listens to country music. Acculturation refers to how ethnic minority individuals adapt to the dominant culture and the changes of their beliefs, values, and behaviors that result from a contact with the new culture and its members. Ethnic identity involves an individual's self-identification as a group member, a sense of belonging to an ethnic group, attitudes toward ethnic group membership, and degree of ethnic group affiliation or involvement. Given that ethnic identity is meaningful only in situations where 2 or more groups have been in contact from an extended period of time, ethnic identity may be more apparent amongst individuals who live in highly urbanized and ethnically diverse areas of the United States, such as Miami, Florida. Our families are how we first develop our cultures. Where they are from and what they value helps mold us into the people we become. From there, we adapt to and adopt different cultures that we experience in our lives. There is no right or wrong tradition, culture, or identification. Through all of these, we learn and remember where we come from and choose who we want to be.